get scared. I have daughters. I get scared too. I have sons. We know that many Muslim families in the West help the children start wearing hijab from primary school. Many non-Muslims disagree about this practice. Even politicians have spoken against it and want the authorities to ban hijab from school. Hijab is obligatory from puberty in Islam for Muslims. The practicing Muslim takes this very seriously. The years before puberty, it is optional for the child if she prefers to wear it. Often parents want the child to start with the hijab early because parents want the child to use hijab from the early teens. If they get used to the idea, it will become an easy choice for them to choose it also for the early adulthood. The problem arises because non-Muslims think that children are forced to wear hijab. So they are thinking about banning it so no child is forced to wear it. The parents here are helping children by covering clothing that increases the dignity and honor of girls. That can prevent them from becoming easy victims of sexual abusers. Teens who hide their age. How do they dress in the West? Children are influenced to wear clothing like adults. The media, commercials, socializing with friends, celebrities, the sites, a whole industry of buying what is popular right now. The pressure on children and teenagers are immense. Many children wear revealing clothing that adults wear, that while their real age might be 10, they look like they're adults. In other words, 15 to 20 years ago, it was easy to see the real age of children from what clothing they were wearing and their behavior. Today that is impossible. The influence of YouTube and media, how a child behaves and what she chooses to wear, often robs them from their childhood. The children's mind and thoughts mature faster than their age nowadays. When children, especially girls, behave and think and wear clothing that is above their age, they will easily attract the opposite gender who are more mature and elder than them. When they go places, no one knows their real age, or even if they do, they can easily fake being 18. We know the issue about underage children, fake ID, and trying to get in contact with elder people, just to experience the thrill of having done something brave and a good story when they meet their ordinary friends. We have heard real incidents in Norway and also in UK about underage girls having sexual relations with men in their 20s. There is a possibility that these girls have hid their real age. We can be assured that it is only the men's fault. It is of great trouble for the community when children look like adults because of what they wear and how they behave. It is very important for a child to have friends that are on their own age and not above their age. When they first grow up, they can be a child again. But if they grow up too early and we could prevent it, we rob their childhood from them. That is really sad, and it's a loss for the community. If we are able to decide that a Muslim child can cover themselves completely, I think it's also about time we decide that non-Muslims are not allowed to wear certain revealing clothing at their primary school. If we morally evaluate the effect of half-naked children at school compared to all covered children at school, the effect of lesser clothing is worse than the effect of those who choose to cover themselves completely. How a rapist chooses his victim. When we read about those who are raped, some people have done a study of these as to why they rape and who they choose. In these studies, they have come to the conclusion that if the rapist saw two women coming through the area he wants to attack them, and one of them are dressed half naked and the other is wearing covering clothing, he will choose the woman with less clothing. In other words, the rapist won't choose a woman who is covered, even though we agree that raping is not allowed, and those who rape are not allowed to rape, even if the whole town doesn't wear clothing, even if it is not the victim's fault that she is being raped. To protect her from being raped, every caring mother and parent would try to convince the daughter to not wear these kind of clothing outside the house, where she is in danger of being a victim of abuse, where she can come across other or many people who wants to rape her. We have to help our children make good choices so we can save them from these dangerous environments and dangerous people. No one sends their children or teenagers to dangers. We love our children more than we love ourselves. How can our sons focus easier? How can our sons focus easier and learn more at school? When they come to understanding relationships and why and how men or women behave, we all agree that they are different. Different in how they understand love, different in how they understand respect, and different in what kind of qualities that are important for them in their relationship. Men are toned down different than women. Men are visual. The more beauty of a woman that they can see, the more man will have difficulties to not look. In the book What You Need to Know About the Inner Life of Men by Shaunti Feldhahn, she explains how men think and why. This is how Allah made men. This is the test of men. If women are more aware of their clothing when they step outside the home and how they behave, and they hide their beauty with hijab, many men would have easier days outside the homes. If men lose focus of what they are doing when they see a beautiful woman, I'm very sure that so does a boy lose focus of what they are doing when they see a beautiful girl at school. As a mother of boys, how well do you think your sons focus in school if a girl or classmate of them are wearing half-naked clothing every day in summer? I worry more about my daughters. Often people worry about mothers of daughters because they think that they have a more difficult job raising the children than those mothers of sons. I don't think the one is easier or more difficult than the other. Both jobs raising a son or daughter is challenging. It is important to teach both genders to behave modestly and good. Sons must be taught respect for men regardless of how they behave or what they are wearing, and so does the girls need to respect the boys as well. If we allow children to go around half-naked at school and ban those people who choose to cover themselves completely, we are shooting ourselves by making it more troublesome for the children to focus in the learning. And they may not be able to protect themselves from illicit relations or problems where the moral standards are low. If the authorities could balance the decision, it could be more helpful. To not allow children to wear half-naked clothing of sexual art at school, and at the same time stop anyone who makes the children use the hijab. It should not be forced, and force is not allowed in Islam. If we found out that children are wearing hijab of free will, it should be allowed. There should be some sort of balance. Non-Muslims do not understand the detrimentalness of socializing between boys and girls who have no sense of modesty, dignity, and honor. The police in Norway often update their social media platform with info about crimes in Norway. Lately, they have said there is an increase of sexual offenses. Many experts in the field assume that there are a much higher number of sexual assaults than what is reported to them. This often comes from filth in the media, nudity and weird programs on internet and TV, internet and socializing with the wrong people, and alcohol and drugs. No boundaries is equal to chaos. If we look at the behavior of places in Norway, there is more Muslim youth, and places where there are less Muslim youth, experts say in places with many Muslims, the youth smoke less and drink less alcohol. And places where there are less Muslim youth, the youth drink more alcohol. It is said it is come in research that parents who drink alcohol, it is more likely that their children will adopt the drinking habits of their parents. But in this example, the Muslim community helped the teenagers to not drink alcohol as much as in other communities where there are less Muslims. Males have higher suicidal rates than females. If we look at the education of Muslims and foreigners, they are on top when it comes to taking higher education, especially the girls. The boys are behind and often drop out of studies, whether they are ethnical Norwegians or foreigners. Maybe the reason why boys or males are behind when it comes to higher education is the fitna, the tribulations they experience. In Norway, the rate of suicide amongst teenage boys and men have increased. Oslo is the only city who lately has employed male nurses at primary school in order to deal with these issues. Males often feel stigmatized if and when they speak about the troubles. That is why we need to research more about how males are coping in the studies from first grade to completed bachelor's degree. There has always been an increase of females completing the studies. I haven't heard any research about the males who drop out and why. As to the reasons behind the dropouts, Norwegians doesn't understand the trouble of temptation for males in the educational system and after they are employed in a work, because the revealing clothing of girls and women are never discussed. Sadly, rape of male is never heard or discussed in Norway either. The solution of hijab for females is a solution that respects how males are wired by vision. Still, it is seen as something negative. The researchers in Norway aren't researching about sexual violence towards males just because it is underreported. That only underlines that the problem might be or is much greater than we know. When we speak about women that they need to keep themselves in modest clothing, the feminist woman says this is discrimination. Think for a moment. If you had an allergy and can't drink anything with milk, or you have to drink not more than so and so milk glasses a day, and everyone you saw around you outside the home were drinking lots and lots of glasses of milk, how would your day have been in such a place? When we understand other people's weaknesses or qualities, we are supposed to respect them and help them. Using their weaknesses or their qualities against them would be very evil. The same about how men are wired by sight. If you respect that males are wired as by sight, this is how Allah or God made them. And if you respect that Allah has made men like that, and if you would want men to have a lesser difficulty going out for school or college or work or anywhere, we would dress in the manner that men would easily have control on their desires, modestly. This can also be a reason for why Allah wants women to cover themselves in front of the males. Islam respects the male's psychology just as much as Islam respects the female's psychology. We need to be more frank about what males are facing when they step outside their homes. Islam has the solutions that help communities prosper. When we understand some of the wisdom, it is easier to live by it. So we see that the Muslim community has also increased the communities with goodness. It is not all negative, but negative information gets more coverage in media. They blow up information. People who don't know or check the real facts start believing the misinformation of many journalists. May Allah help communities in Norway and worldwide prosper and learn before it's too late. Amen.